Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 from the News Hub at Adisawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Isa Morning. Coming up now, the headlines for tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxipade,
Piccadilly Biscuits,
and
My Life Insurance.
Former top management of Consolidated Diamond Company accuses owner of selling of production plants in scrap and not investing in it.
On our Abandoned Government Project campaign, we throw the spotlight on the Center for National Culture in Kumasi, which is begging for attention despite its economic potential.
In Mission, we feature the story of George Best Ekufo, who, despite his disability, wants to be employed to prove that persons with special needs can also work.
Coming up in international news, Iran warns foreign forces to stay out of Gulf amid new U.S. deployments.
We have all the details, including sports and entertainment news, coming up this hour. And starting the news tonight, there is pressure on government to look for a forthright investor to turn around the once vibrant Consolidated diamond mines in Akwitia, currently guarded by national security. After acquiring the mine and its assets from the Divestiture Implementation Committee at $17 million in 2011, GCD, owned by Jospond Group, former top management of the company, have accused the owner of selling off production plants as scrap.
Blind, diagnosed of Parkinson's disease and stroke, bedridden 69-year-old Benjamin Edufo was the technician at the recovery unit of one of the diamonds production plant. He currently resides in one of the rooms in the mine village with his family.
Actually, concerning the date, it's 1999. Then I was sent to recovery while I was at the plant. So I worked there for almost 15 years.
Rotten, ruined, it's dilapidated. Number 12 pound plant, one of the plants that contains the concentrate that refines the ore into diamond, sold too many. One of the only standing 4 plants remaining here in the concession owned by the current administration of the Great Consolidated Diamonds Company. The rest 3 have turned into scrap and have been sold off. GCD was put on divestiture in 1989 by the then PNDC government, with Marigold Limited eventually winning the bid. The company was to be divested in 2000 when government changed. The then NDC administration put on hold the divestiture program, but later divested to Sappers Company, but the company could not operate, leading to its closure in 2006. In 2009, bids were open again, of which GCDL, belonging to the Jospond Group, won for $17 million. 2011, the Great Consolidated Diamonds Limited, GCDL, reactivated operations at the defunct Ghana Consolidated Diamonds Limited at Akwitia in the Eastern Region at a ceremony which was graced by the then Vice President John Dramani Mahama.
They brought in a lot of excavators, bulldozers, and these heavy-duty machines, promising that immediately they hand over, the company is going to start operations. Unfortunately, after the ceremony, within a month, all the machines were taken back to Accra, and since then they never brought them back.
GCDL, an arm of the Jospond Group, belonging to businessman Joseph Siao Ajipong, by a sale and purchase agreement document cited by TV3 was required to make an initial payment of $1.7 million to the Divestiture Implementation Committee within 21 days, representing 10% of the sale offer. Documents showed GCDL had paid only $2.7 million and has flouted its own regulations to pay the rest of the money in installments.
Masa, Mr. Siam's problem is that when he took over, the manager, who was then manager before the closure of the mine, he still allowed the same manager to continue. Meanwhile, that manager is not competent.
After the Jospon Group took over the mines, it promised to invest $100 million in a 5-year multi-purpose program, which was expected to produce 1 million carats of diamonds per annum within the period. GCDL promised to create 2,500 direct jobs and 50,000 indirect jobs. As we speak, only 80 direct staffs have been employed, 60 of whom are security men manning the remaining assets. Since 2011, not a single carat of diamond has come out of the concession, despite new data indicating 25 million carats prospecting with 11 million ready to be mined. Former general manager of the company, Delali Kabi, says Jospon has sold 2 of the plants as scrap with little capital injection into the company.
The shareholder, as I was told, gave a note to somebody to come and harvest the scrap. So it was not like a tender was opened and whoever wins the bid. That's I'm telling you that it was not like we are selling it at so much, so come and pay.
He insists Jospon is simply not ready for the mines.
He took a good business decision to acquire that place, but I think if it is the financial capability that was lacking, I don't know. But for me, from where I sit, I think that it was just lack of interest at a stage.
Government in 2019 cancelled the mining lease of GCDL over breaches in the mine agreement. For the residents, government must look elsewhere for a serious investor who will turn the mines around and bring back Akwetia.
We are pleading and asking Nanado, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, as citizens of Akwetia, we are pleading with them. They have opportunity to create jobs for the people here, but not with GCDGL, because they had 9 years. They did not help. They did not spend 13 million, not even $1 million. I can say that.
When contacted, the current managing director of GCDL, Enoch Bar, admitted difficulty in turning around the mines because of less investment by the owner, Jospon. After agreeing to an interview to be conducted at the mines on the side of the story, Enoch Bar declined with explanation that the owner had issued an express instruction that no one should comment on the matter. The stand-alone one and many workers, especially the ex-workers who are still strong enough and believe they can work for the company, want current management to invest in revamping this plant to give them jobs to be able to cater for their family. Will the company do that? It remains $1 million question and answered. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Great Consolidated Diamonds Mines, Akwetia.
Let's take our campaign to the northeast region, where deplorable roads are making life unbearable for residents of Zangum, Zango and neighboring communities in the West Mamprosi municipality. Now, roads in Zangum and Zango have been neglected for years, leaving residents of those predominantly farming communities despaired.
The main road leading to Zangum in particular could pass for a crisis situation, as a full stretch looks rocky on the entire 2 kilometer, making it difficult for farmers to make their way to the closest markets located in Walewale. The residents have been left with no option but to battle with potholes, which some of them describe as fish ponds and manholes. The onset of the rains have worsened the situation and made tricycle motorbikes, which are the only means for transportation, difficult and painful to travel in. According to the residents, the poor road network had made it difficult for them to cart farm produce to the market centers. Some residents have been robbed by armed robbers while plying the stretch.
They catch Fulani peoples and call their new motto and use firewood and beat them and cut them in cutlass in their heads.
While riders complained about the constant breakdown of their tricycles, passengers and residents count the economic and social losses. The cost of doing business had also increased because of the longer time a commuter had to spend on the road, they added. Some residents are reminding Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia of his 2016 campaign promise to the Zangum people.
The road is in a deplorable state. Commuting is very difficult during rainy season. We are appealing to government to fix it.
The state of the portion of the road around the bridge over the Zangum Dam is no different from the Zangu stretch. Meanwhile, the chief of Zangu has sent a distress call to the government to take immediate steps to fix the road. According to the chief, despite the fact that the area serves as a revenue basket of the community, successive governments had failed to repair the road. He appealed to Municipal Chief Executive to pay particular attention to the roads in the rural communities since the revenue basket is within such areas. In an interview with the Municipal Chief Executive, Honorable Adam Mohammed Dibrida, he assured the people of the Assembly's commitment of working on the road soon.
The assurance I want to give is that the Zangum route has been programmed, and as we speak, in less than a month, work will start on that stretch of the route.
You're watching News 360 live from Adisawe. In the Ashanti region, some notable tourist facilities are begging for attention despite their economic potentials. Correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar reports the Center for National Culture in Kumasi is yet to maximize its tourism opportunities.
The Center for National Culture in Kumasi was established in 1951 to keep record of the rich Ghanaian culture. The center houses the Prempeh, the Second Jubilee Museum, which provides a fascinating collection of Ashanti's history. Here you find valuable artifacts such as the Ashanti war drum, a replica of the golden stool, and a 300-year-old antique treasure bag, which are not barred anyone from opening. Other artifacts include the Independence brass pan and stool seized from the dangerous in the 1600 war, as well as guns used by the Ashantis to fight the British, royal chairs, sandals, and tripod sword. The first official car used by Otumfo Osei Agyemang Prempeh II in 1953 is also on display at the museum. A tourist from Sweden, Sarah White, was impressed with Ashanti culture after her visit to the museum.
This facility is very, very nice, and I wasn't aware that Ghana has a king. It's very fascinating that women really put in place the king and can choose not only their son, but choose the best man.
Patronage of the facility, according to the director of the Culture Center, is encouraging. Berima Asumedu Sechi, however, wants the museum to be given a facelift.
Government budget for the Culture Center, especially Kumasi, was so sufficient that we had enough to organize programs. We had enough to pay our bills and all that. Now, as I was speaking with you, nothing comes. So if you have anything to do concerning programs, organizing your programs, paying of bills, and all to do with IGF, which is not sufficient. In fact, with the electricity, we are owing billions of cedis.
The cultural center was built to elevate the arts, culture, and tourism, yet not much attention is given to it.
The administration leaks very badly. Our theaters. Early this year, the former sector minister came and then handed over the renovation of Apatakesie to a certain contractor. It was given to him on the 4th of January, and the contractor promised completing by 1st of April. But then it didn't work. So the Abatakase Theatre has been left to East Caribbean State. Enough money should be pumped into it.
The center accommodates artisans engaged in broadloom weaving, pottery and ceramics, sculpturing and painting. Berima Asumedu Sechi called on governments and private developers to invest in the center.
Still in the Ashanti region, a 600 capacity Get Fund dormitory block for the T.I. Ahmadiyya Girls Senior High School at Asokore has been left in the bush, and the project, which started 6 years ago, was expected to ease congestion in the improvised dormitory when completed. A report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Most of the over 600 boarding students have to be accommodated in this improvised congested dormitory block. Students have to leave trunks, chop boxes and bags on the corridors due to lack of space. The congestion, according to the headmistress, is a threat to health of the students. The Ghana Education Trust Fund, Get Fund, started the construction of 2 dormitory blocks. The 2 projects will accommodate at least 600 students when completed. But the project, which started 6 years ago, has stalled. Financial constraints compelled the contractor to abandon the project.
Those who came for the September program, the single track, we were facing difficulties in accommodating them. So we even have to resort to one HIPIC structure at the junior high school for some of the girls to sleep.
The headmistress also called on government and other stakeholders in the education sector to assist the school complete its administrative block. The school was converted into a girls' school less than a decade ago to enhance girl-child education.
And now she resigned from her teaching career 2 years ago because of her passion to fight malaria. 40-year-old entrepreneur Doris Aduboy, through research, has eventually come up with innovative ways of preventing mosquito bite. Elizabeth Usu-Achum has more of the story.
Each and every day, we discover people with creative ideas and great potentials. We are here at OEB to engage with an entrepreneur who has found innovative ways in preventing malaria through the production of mosquito repellent products.
After completing teacher training college in the year 2000, she taught for 18 years. She was later posted to Ebuantumpan MA Basic School in the Suwum municipality of the Eastern region. According to her, some of the students were mostly truant. She visited school children in their homes, where she was told they mostly suffer from malaria as a result of mosquito bites. People in Ebuantumpan village rely on herbs to cure their illness due to inaccessible health care. Seeing the terrible situation of the students, she began a research on how to develop mosquito repellent products with herbs to prevent malaria.
I realized that they were suffering from malaria. Did the research into herbs. I brought a product to them. I do soap as a hobby, soap and body cream and butter and stuff. So I was like, okay, I know how to prepare soap. So why don't I integrate some of these herbs that they themselves are telling me that is what they use into it. So I quickly researched into more of the herbs, and then I use it. I integrated it into the soap, and I brought it back to them. And then they used it. The second week, I saw a lot of them in school. I was happy I've solved a problem.
Doris Aduboy, in her creative ideas, invented soap, candles and other mosquito repellent products, which have had a lot of recommendations from users and approval by the Food and Drugs Authority.
In the classroom, my passion is no longer in teaching. I'm always thinking about, whoa, if this thing worked, okay, then let me send it to FDA. And then they did a test for the lotion for 6 months at Tech, and then it came out and the results were okay, and then the FDA went ahead to certify me.
She encouraged the youth to develop their own business ideas instead of relying on government for jobs.
all the youths out there who are saying there are no jobs, see, the market is huge. There are a lot of problems. Just do the right thing, go to the correct channel, let them certify your product, and you come out and you are good to go.
Doris Adoboy now owns a business, Exa Venture, with 20 workers in Accra and 85 sales team in other regions.
Well, congrats to Doris for that innovation. In other news, the Northeast Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Abubakar Abdullahi, has disclosed his outfit has secured drugs for distribution in some communities in the East Mamprusi municipality, which has been affected by scabies. The drugs, he indicated, will be made available to the affected communities on Monday, September 23.
TV3 in a report last week revealed a strange skin disease in Dablebware in the East Mamprusi municipality, which was making life unbearable for the people. Speaking to TV3 on phone, Dr. Abubakar Abdullah has indicated drugs have been secured and he is convinced the drugs will salvage the situation and prevent further spread. He also confirmed the skin disease to be scabies.
It's true, it's scabies. We brought some team from Tamale on Wednesday to the community. It was discovered that the skin disease is scabies. Meanwhile, we have acquired some drugs which will arrive on the weekend. So we'll invite you to go with us and report any development.
Scabies is a contagious, intensely itchy skin condition caused by a tiny burrowing mite.
In other news tonight, the police in Anya, Accra are seeking public support in tracing the whereabouts of a 14-year-old boy. Idrisu Yendiong has reportedly gone missing from their Anya residence on the evening of Saturday, September 22. The 14-year-old Idrisu speaks English, Twi, and Basari languages. Idrisu Yendiong is about 4 feet tall and chocolate in complexion. Efforts by both the police and his relatives have since not yielded fruitful results. Anyone who knows the whereabouts of Idrisu Yendiong should please contact the Anya police or the nearest police station or call the police emergency numbers 191 or 18555 to assist the family.
You're watching News 360 from the News Hub. We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us. Mission is supported by the Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to Danida, UK Aid and the EU. He has a diploma in graphic and web design and has just completed a film masterclass with Farmhouse Productions. But there's a big challenge. He's unemployed. In the following report, Mission brings to you the story of George Best Ekufuba, who despite his disability wants to be employed to prove that persons with special needs can also work.
Yes, application for employment. I wish to apply for a befitting position in your institution. I work effectively under supervision, and I promise to deliver to your expectation. Hi, I'm George Best Ekufuba, and I have a condition known as cerebral palsy. I want to be employed so that I can be independent, can be able to get things for myself, not be able to rely on my families or my siblings. I'm appealing to agencies, departments, and also ministries to employ me. I have a skill in data inputting, graphic design.
George Best Ekufu was born with special needs. He has a condition known as cerebral palsy, a group of neurological disorders that appear in infancy or early childhood and permanently affect body movements and muscle tone.
The experience has been a bit good, but sometimes the discrimination is very much because you see someone, the person will be like, I'm drunk, then you make fun of me, you laugh at me and sometimes when I go to that place, I see children. The children tend to be afraid of me. And also some do laugh at me and all that. But due to that, it doesn't worry me because I know who I am.
He's a very bright person. Even from childhood, he was really a bright boy. So we knew that all we could do is to find ways and means of correcting his conditions so that he can also feel like a normal boy and be more useful to society. He is now 24 going to 25. He has a lot of support from the external family. But I'm looking at independence for such people, especially in the future, because will he always have to depend on somebody to be able to do something? And this is somebody who is so willing to do things for himself.
But George Best has not had it easy, as he's had to battle discrimination and stigma, especially in his quest to get employed.
I went to look for a man actually. That means in order to present my CV. So when I got there, I saw a certain man. I walked past him to see the secretary, and the man told me to walk out. So he stood up sucking me.
He has a flair in computer or ICT. So he's been trained as a data inputter and also a graphic designer. He managed to do a complimentary card for me. He has done logos. He's produced, I think, t-shirts for some friends. You know, he doesn't have the machines here. So what he does is he will do everything on the computer, take it to a printing press or a cafe, and then finish the work.
Today, George Best is trying his luck. He's presenting his CV to some companies in Accra to see if he'll be employed. Here's at the Social Security and National Insurance Trust's net office in Accra. While awaiting a response from SNIT, and in order to enrich his CV, Mission monitored him as he undertook a film masterclass course at Farmhouse Productions in Accra.
For him to join the class, and it means he's actually trying to pursue something. So, out of curiosity, I just decided to get close to him. I realized he was a graphic designer. I thought probably, he was just saying it, until I saw him design something in class. I was like, wow.
Ivan Kwashiga is CEO of Farmhouse Production.
George Best has been one of the most enthusiastic students in the class. He is one of the people that would show up every day and also call just to make sure that everything is organized. I think that being someone with a different ability, he tries as much as possible to prove himself, and with that, I can only see him going really far.
After 4 weeks, George Best is graduating with a certificate in filmmaking.
I feel very happy and very glad that I've been one of the graduates of film class.
2 weeks after sending his application, George Best has a response from SNIT. Unfortunately, it was not the response he was expecting.
It was sad because I was expecting them to have given me the opportunity to work and earn something, but yet they didn't give me the way to. Right now I'm just looking for an opportunity in the government sector or in the private sector that can help me to earn a living.
Data from the United Nations Departments on Social and Economic Affairs show in developing countries, 80 to 90% of persons with disabilities of working age are unemployed, whereas in industrialized countries, the figure is between 50 to 70%. Persons with disability face hurdles in the job market, and there is the need to address this challenge. For example, employers could set a policy to make their workplace inclusive by employing at least one person with disability. Mission is throwing the challenge to employers to hire George Beste Kufu. Poshigabo, TV3 News, Accra. So we're throwing the challenge to employers out there to hire George Beste Kufuba. And that's it for Mission. Mission is supported by Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to Danida, UK Aid and the EU.
In morning tonight, about 1,300 school dropouts in 5 selected metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies in the Ashanti region have been supported with education materials to return to the classroom. One out of the number, 1,000 of them are at the basic level, whilst 300 are enrolled in technical and vocational training institutions.
The support from Pledge Ghana, a non-governmental organization in child protection, and UNICEF is to implement government's all-inclusive education policy. The beneficiary school children at the basic level were supported with school uniforms, bags, footwear, books and other learning materials. Those in the technical and vocational institutions were also given sewing machines, hair dryers and protective gears to enhance their practical skills. Presenting the items to the beneficiaries, Executive Director of Pledge Ghana, David Attiga, said helping the needy to attain higher feet through education has been his passion. He said his outfit has put up a mentoring program to follow up and ensure that the beneficiary children are in school.
The number of children we are targeting for Ashanti region is 1,300. That of Upper West is also 1,300. And all the operations are within 20 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies.
David Attiga noted parents of the beneficiaries will also be supported with training in skills development and financial literacy to be economically independent. Some beneficiaries expressed their gratitude to the organization for the support to enroll them back to school. Pledge Ghana is currently operating in the Ashanti and Upper West regions and plans to support 2,600 school children to stay in the classroom.
Government has constructed over 100 new school blocks to replace old and dilapidated structures across the country. Deputy Minister of Education Dr. Yao Osei Educhum says the new school blocks will improve teaching and learning in schools. A report by Beatrice Piogabra.
Concerns have been raised about the state of some dilapidated structures that school children study in, which pose as death traps across the country. Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum says the ministry has the goal of replacing all dilapidated school blocks to create a conducive environment for teaching and learning.
In as much as we think children can learn anywhere, they should learn in the best of places. If they are truly our future, we cannot allow them to sit in buildings that are collapsing. So when the president took over the mantle of leadership, he set an agenda through the Minister for Education, that is, replace all dilapidated buildings.
Dr. Yao Educhum explains the projects are financed under the Ghana Education Trust Fund, GET Fund, and the district assemblies. In the Bosomtwe district, the Deputy Minister handed over 4 new 6-unit classroom blocks to 6 schools in the district. The schools are Eduabeng, Bonieja, Jachi and Apenkro primary schools. The Bosomtwe district is also being selected among 30 local assemblies for the rollout of the Right Age to School campaign by the Ghana Education Service and UNICEF. According to UNICEF representative Agnes Arthur, About 400,000 children are not in school.
It was our responsibility to collaborate with government to make sure that we sensitize parents, communities, so that they send their children at the right age because of the benefits that it's related to when you go to school at the right age.
Dr. Yaosei Educhum said the Right Age to School campaign is to ensure school children benefit from early childhood education.
In other news, the Ministry of Trade and Industry has commissioned a charcoal factory at Bamang in the Kwabre East municipality of the Ashanti region under the One District, One Factory initiative, and the factory is expected to create about 100 direct employment and 400 indirect employment. A report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
The charcoal briquette factory is one out of the 4 One District, One Factory projects to be established in the Kwabre East municipality. The charcoal briquette is used for household, commercial and industrial fuel purposes. It burns 3 hours longer than the traditional charcoal. The briquette is produced using waste materials such as rice husk, sawdust and coconut husk. Commissioning the factory, Managing Director of AICPL, Alhaji Adam Sulemana, said the factory intends producing 3 more products in addition to the charcoal briquette.
We are in a position to support the government's Planting for Food and Jobs initiative with a supply of large quantities of biochar for farmers.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Robert Ahumka Lindsay, entreated Ghanaian entrepreneurs to start adding value to raw materials and create wealth.
Ghanaian entrepreneurs are no worse than any other entrepreneur. So it's not a question of whether or not they cannot create the opportunity. They can create the opportunity. But it's about whether or not we put the economic environment in place to allow them to fulfill their dreams.
Chief of Beman Nana Ose Ajiman commended government for partnering with the private sector to establish a factory for the community. Some youth in the area were excited the factory will open up the community to create jobs for them.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Chimanting, has challenged industry players and private sector business leaders to come on board to support government to make the new African Continental Free Trade and game changer for African business. Now, speaking at the annual general meeting of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce in Accra, he insists it will grow trade and deepen presence on international markets.
The Trade Minister said government has firmer plans and programs, including trade policy and direction, trade facilitation and intra-African trade and trade infrastructure. He urged business leaders to get on board.
Some action on the part of the private sector. We will do our part, but it requires the private sector also to enhance their own competitiveness at the firm level. Because if government does all we can in these 7 cluster areas, and at the firm level you are not competitive, then you are back to square one. So there are areas that, as a private sector, you need to look at. Management efficiency.
Alan Chimanting also asked the chamber to put pragmatic measures in place and mobilize themselves.
Productivity at the enterprise level. Quality is very important. The fact that we have a continental free trade area and the market is open doesn't mean that if you produce shoddy goods, you can automatically sell in other markets. So quality is very important. Branding, this whole issue of product image is absolutely critical.
A national steering committee and a technical working group has also been formed for its implementation. President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Nana Appiah Dankan Wosu II, also stressed the need to get members to be more competitive and increase productivity.
We have also arranged to, with the Ministry of Trade and the AU Commission, to see how best the private sector can be supported in the first place, and to also elaborate for us to identify the opportunities and the benefits accrue for Ghanaians and for Africans to come together.
And a segment tonight, having played low for a while now, hip life artist Kwakesi, popularly known as Abodam, on Saturday night on TV3 Music brought live to the studio and of course to viewers at home. Kwakesi was a delight to watch as usual and fans could just not help it. Meanwhile, 2 new segments have been added to the Saturday night show to get fans interact more.
Yo, hey.
It was all fun and energy at TV3's Music this Saturday when hip live artist Kwakesi got on stage to entertain lively fans with what he does best. Kwao, in his stagecraft, rocked the night with his back-to-back hit tracks as the audience sang along. The man Insane treated his fans to both his old and new hit tunes, including Kwakwa, Abodam and Oyenansons. Other artists also thrilled the audience. 2 more additions, Crazy Dance and Karaoke, have been added to further whip up studio excitement.
If you think I will leave you, God forbid you. If you leave me, die this year.
The Abodam man rounded up the night with his latest trending 2019 hit single, Dondo.
Dondo is the most popular song in Ghana right now. Dondo is catching fever everywhere. I want to thank you guys all, the fans. Charlie, I love you guys, man. You made it happen. The whole world has embraced it, you know. So it's Dondo season, as I say.
All right, Kwakesi entertaining the fans there. And after the show, the news, Ghana Most Beautiful will be on your network. Some have called to ask a repeat for Ghana's Most Beautiful. It's on Fridays at 3 p.m. So if you're watching, don't miss it. That's it for this edition. I'm Issa Morning.
And I am Portia Gabo. Up next is Ghana's Most Beautiful.